Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Stephen Cabral, shares with you exactly how you can reverse aging, take back your health, and live a life full of energy and passion, with new 20-minute episodes every single day to keep you healthy and engaged. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Brand new Mindset and Motivation Monday here today. Looking forward to sharing with you what is called the Pygmalion effect. It is also often referred to as the Rosenthal effect after Dr. Rosenthal, who actually used this in observational-based studies, specifically in schools, and then it was later used in scientific research, and now today in the power of positive expectations. I think you're going to find this extremely fascinating. I'm someone that loves to go back and kind of look at the origin story for how these things came about. But if you're someone that's looking to dramatically improve how you can get to your goals faster and through a very specific methodology, this is absolutely for you. Let's get right into it. So in a California classroom, this is where it was designed. They did what was called a disguised IQ test at the beginning of the study. The scores were not disclosed to the teachers. The teachers were told, though, that some of their students, about 20% of the school chosen at random, could be expected to be what's called intellectual bloomers that year, doing better than expected in comparison to their classmates. The bloomers' names were made known to those teachers. So we'll stop there for a moment. So basically what they did is they did an IQ test. They found out all the children's IQ, and then they shared with the teachers 20% of those students who they felt would actually be those were the intellectual bloomers, the one with the high IQs. That's what they told the teachers, at least. But really what they did is they just chose 20% of the school at random. So then at the end of the study, though, all of the students, again, were tested with the same IQ test used at the beginning of the study. All 6 grades in both experimental and control groups showed a mean gain in IQ from before the test to after the test. Let's stop there for a second, because whether the students were told they were in the high achievers, intellectual bloomers group, every single student did better on the IQ test. Pretty interesting, right? Because it shows intellect, not necessarily the ability to do well on a test like a school-based test. So that's fascinating in and of itself. Knowing that you are a part of a study and then actually improving as the study goes along, right? Like that is a big part of the placebo effect for 80% of the students here. All right. So however, first and second graders showed statistically significant gains favoring the experimental group of intellectual bloomers. This led to the conclusion that teacher expectations, particularly for the youngest children, can influence student achievement. Rosenthal believed that even attitude or mood could positively affect the students when the teacher was made aware of the bloomers. The teacher may pay closer attention to and even treat the child differently in times of difficulty. All right, so I want to share with you how this is going to apply to your life through something called the Pygmalion effect, which we'll get to in just a second. But going back to this study, essentially what is human behavior? When you are told that this thing is going to outperform, these are going to be your best students, well, the teachers then naturally have that in the back of their mind, maybe their subconscious mind, they're not even aware of it. And what they're doing is they are maybe calling on those students more. They're looking more favorably at those students. If those students have more difficulty or a challenge or a question, they might be more apt to explain it in multiple different ways because this is one of their so-called gifted, and I'm doing that in air quotes, students, so they pay more attention. It may even affect their grades, right? If it's a subjective essay, let's just say in English or whatever it might be, and I know not all of English is subjective, I get that, but creativity part, that could be how the teacher sees it. The teacher may be more likely to give that student a better grade. That is now how we move into what's called the Pygmalion effect. So the Pygmalion effect can actually affect scientific researches as well. So the Pygmalion effect is a psychological phenomenon in which high expectations lead to improved performance in a given area and low expectations lead to worse. It is named for the Greek myth of Pygmalion, the sculptor who fell so much in love with the perfectly beautiful statue that he created that it came to life. All right, that's the Greek myth. So in scientific research, if you're not doing a double-blind placebo-based study, or at least a double-blind study, what can happen is that the researcher will actually have maybe confirmation bias, or at least bias to how they set up the study. So let's take a real-world example. Let's say that you believe in intermittent fasting. and you believe that everybody should skip breakfast. What you may actually look at is if you have 30 subjects, putting the subjects that you think may do best into the group that's skipping breakfast, right? And so that might be more of the confirmation, or what they call the observer expectancy effect. All right. So now how are we going to use this though to our advantage? This is really important. Kind of what does this all mean for you? Well, think about this. What do you believe in your life that you're good at or that you will succeed at? So I just want to harken back to one of my clients. I love being able to share this story. So I once worked with a wealthy, finance-based guru. I've actually worked with many, and that's very interesting to me. And what I found is that they are exceptional at finance, investing, etc. And they knew that they were always going to do well. It's like that's just probably throughout school. They were good at math. So then they figured, hey, why don't I go into finance? They were told that they were a great young prodigy or whatever it might be, and then continue to move on. A lot of financial analysts and investors are that way. But that's what they doubled down on, and that's what they did well at. So what do you think, though? Do you think they put in more hours? Probably, right? Do you think they studied a lot in that one particular area? Absolutely. Do you think they move forward then with more confidence and positive expectation? Of course, right? But then let's think about another area. Let's think about like overall health. So if that person doesn't have a great expectancy of health, maybe because they have more difficulty losing weight, or they have more difficulty, choosing the right foods for them, do you think that they're going to put as much effort? No, they're already defeated, right? Or do you think that they're going to be able to stick with an exercise program? Probably not, because they're like, well, what's the point? If I can't follow the diet, why would I follow the exercise? And so when you look at this, we start to set ourselves up either for, I would say, extreme success in one area or absolute failure in another. So I ask you the same question though. What do you believe that you're going to succeed in, right? So if you can write this down, I know if you're in the car, you can't, but at least think it to yourself. In life, where do you think you're going to succeed? So think about it in terms of the big five that I always give you, which is family and relationships, husband, wife, partner, kids, etc. Then we have our health. Then we have overall body transformation, weight gain, weight loss, like whatever you need to do, right, to figure out the healthy body for you. And then we have our career, and I think interests, basically passions in life. And after that, we have spirituality. And so it's like, well, where do you think you're going to succeed? And I bet there's an area where you believe you're going to succeed, and I bet you're probably already doing well or well on your way, right? And that you're putting thought, you're putting effort into it. Now think about an area where you don't believe you're as strong, that people have told you since childhood, or you believe since childhood, or maybe young adulthood, that you're not as great in that area. Think about that right now. Is there an area that you're not as great at? Or there might be some trauma around, or some specific type of issue. How are you doing in that area? Now, you might say to yourself, well, yeah, I'm not good in that area. That's why I'm not doing well. And that's a perfectly fair rebuttal. However, I would ask you this, just kind of going back to the other part, how many hours are you putting in? Are you putting in as many hours to the area where you're succeeding? I would say most people are not, right? I would also say, what type of planning do you do in that area? What type of positive expectations do you have in the areas that you're not as strong? What actions are you taking on a daily basis to move in that direction? What is your game plan over the next 3, 6, or 12 months in that area to grow and get better and learn and then continue to tweak and implement? Are you doing any of those things? Or have you already written it off as that is just not a good area of your life? I would say that for most of us, myself included, when there is an area that we believe that we are not strong at, we just say, that's not me. That's not who I am. It's not one of my strong points. I'm weak in that area. Now, I will also say that sometimes there's just, you don't need to work on everything in your life, and that just might not be an area where you're as strong. When I even look at the different health companies that I run, I've always hired great managers, great operators of those locations, or with Equal Life or Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, or even my own teaching company. So Why would I do that? Well, one, I know that I am stronger as someone that likes to set a vision. I love to be able to teach. I love to be able to do what I call the 4 R's. And my daughters always correct me on this, so we'll see if you get it as well. I love to be able to do the reading, the researching, the writing, and the recording, right? Like that's what I love to do. So I'll read and research, right? And then I'll write and record. That's what I love to do. And so now, could I get better at the overall operations and management? Sure. I mean, I did it for years when I wasn't able to hire anybody. So I can do it. And I did put in the effort. And you know what? It took a little bit more effort. Wasn't as natural for me creating all those different operations or essentially just the day-to-day, because I also knew, though, it was taking hours away from my true passion, my true love. But what I'm saying to you is, if there is a challenge, like my health has always been a challenge since I was a child. I never had robust health. Now, since I can remember, I always had headaches and allergies and difficulty sleeping and hives and all of those things. Like I always had that, always, since I was probably 5 or 6 years old, like super young. And so did I think that I could get better in health? No, not really. But the thing is this, you don't even have to necessarily believe, but you do have to do the work and take the action. So there needs to be at least an inkling. And here's the thing, when I didn't have hope in myself, I gathered that hope from others, meaning I would continue to see other coaches and practitioners, and I would lean on them. They would give me their hope, their belief that I could heal. And then, of course, finally, I meet someone in Dr. Pete who says, yeah, you've been doing so much. You've been reading so much. You're so close. Here's what I want you to do. Here's how you're going to put it together. I don't really need to teach you anything new except how to integrate all of this, right? And so that is sometimes the breakthrough that we all need. Now I have the robust health. Here's the thing though about me though. I also know though, it could go the other way, which is why I need to keep up with it. I've worked with clients in the past, amazing individuals. They can literally run on 5 to 6 hours of sleep. Now, do I think that's healthy for them? No, but their energy is as good as mine on 5 to 6 hours of sleep. And not even eating all that amazing. They fly all over the country and they just really strong, solid constitution. You know, I would say that I don't lean in that direction, but that's okay. Like I can still do the things that I need to do, even if I'm not not as strong in that particular way. So I wanted to share that with you. And the last thing I want to really close on is what we believe about the future creates our actions of today. So here's the thing. If we believe we're strong in something, we're going to take action on it. We're going to do more of it because we're already confident in that area. And we also have this confirmation bias, like, yeah, we can do that. We're going to do it. So we do it and we feel good about ourselves, right? And we sometimes stay away from the areas that we're not as strong in, but we know that if we got a little bit better in those areas, well, our life could get exceptionally better. Or we don't want to take on a new project or a new endeavor. And that's because it takes time, it takes effort, and you need to start at the beginner level. And the problem is that if we know that it's going to be a challenge and we don't want the challenge and we're unsure if we're going to be successful, we don't take the actions today that gives us the gifts and the goals and the rewards of tomorrow. So I would challenge you this, don't take on a million different new goals and new tasks, but set your mind on something that you are passionate about, that you believe that you would get fulfillment from, or that you need to do, like your health, right? That's just, sometimes we just need to do it because it enriches all the other areas of our life, right? If we don't have our health, we don't have anything. I can remember instances specifically in my 20s where I couldn't go and do a lot of the things that I wanted to do. I couldn't travel. I just couldn't. I would get exhausted when I would take all these flights and I would end up getting sick, coughs, colds, upper respiratory based issues. I couldn't go out late at night anymore. I would suffer then for the next 3 or 4 days. So these are all things that I remember going back to. So I'm telling you right now, if you don't have your health, it is the number one thing to work on, because when you get your health back and you get your energy back, now you're also in a different mindset. That mindset can enable you then to put in the work, for lack of a better term, literally put in the work, which means take action and repeated action on a day in and day out basis. Not taking days off, but literally doing everything that you need to do on a daily basis and scheduling it into your schedule so that it does get done. Now, that is challenging. That is work, but the rewards, well, they pay you back for the rest of your life, not just in the career or the finances or the health or whatever it is, but also in the confidence and the belief in knowing that if you put your mind to something, you're going to accomplish it. Thanks so much for tuning into this Mindset and Motivation Monday. As always, I thank you so much for being a part of this community. Of course, do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much, as always, for tuning into today's show. I appreciate you listening right to the end. I always try to share with you something that I believe that you're going to love. And this week, we are giving 20% off all gut-based protocols, all health gut-based protocols. That means if you've been thinking about using the CBO protocol to help improve your overall digestion or yeast or bacterial imbalances, this is the protocol for you. Or you might be looking at the daily probiotic support, the clean gut probiotic, or maybe something like the healthy gut support, which helps to heal and seal that intestinal-based wall. Whatever you're looking for, we have those 4 products plus many more on sale at 20% off. Very rarely do we do sales outside of our semi-annual sale. This is one not to miss. If you're dealing with bloating, gas, constipation, loose stool, etc., you can get to the underlying root cause, or you can begin to use these specific protocols that we've used with thousands of people all over the world. Head on over to stevencabral.com/shop for all the details.